And we're just learning smoke is coming out of the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait. The embassy is urging America.
Yeah, a lot to dive into this morning and a lot of new developments that are coming out as well, as you mentioned, starting with the video from President Donald Trump. It was about 6 minutes long, and he's
Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be a dire threat to every American. We cannot allow a nation that raises terrorist armies to possess such weapons, would allow them to extort the world to their evil will. Not going to let it happen.
It began just after sunrise in Kuwait City. The morning was calm. The streets around the Safat district were slowly filling with commuters. Security checkpoints near the U.S. Embassy compound were operating as usual. Routine vehicle checks, guarded entrances, surveillance cameras scanning every angle. Nothing appeared out of the ordinary. Then came the first sign. A thin column of gray smoke rose from inside the embassy compound. At first, it was faint, barely noticeable against the pale morning sky. But within minutes, the smoke thickened, darker, heavier, visible from blocks away. Pedestrians slowed. Drivers rolled down their windows. Some began recording on their phones. Inside the perimeter walls of one of America's most secure diplomatic facilities in the Gulf region, something was burning. Sirens soon followed. Local Kuwaiti emergency vehicles arrived quickly, positioning outside the compound gates. Embassy security personnel restricted movement in and out of the area. Nearby streets were temporarily sealed. Traffic was redirected. Helicopters were reportedly seen circling above. But no official statement came immediately. Speculation spread faster than the smoke itself. Social media filled with unverified claims. An explosion, an attack, a protest, a technical failure. None confirmed. The U.S. Embassy in Kuwait is one of the largest American diplomatic facilities in the Middle East. It houses diplomats, military liaisons, intelligence personnel, and administrative staff. It plays a critical role in U.S.-Kuwait relations, regional security coordination, and energy diplomacy. And now, smoke was rising from inside its secured walls. The key question echoed across the region. What happened inside the compound? Was this an accident, a mechanical failure, or something more deliberate? As emergency responders worked behind closed gates, the world waited for answers.
According to early reports from local observers, the smoke appeared to originate from a section near administrative buildings within the embassy complex. No large explosion was heard by nearby residents, which led some analysts to question whether this was an internal electrical fire or equipment malfunction. Embassies operate like self-contained cities. They have independent power systems, communication hubs, secure data centers, and sometimes even classified facilities protected by multiple security layers. A fire inside such a compound is not just a safety concern, it's a security matter. Fire crews reportedly entered the compound after coordination with U.S. diplomatic security. Witnesses outside described seeing fire suppression teams moving quickly but calmly. That detail suggested this may not have been a large-scale blaze, but even a contained fire inside a diplomatic mission raises alarms. Embassy compounds contain sensitive materials, secure communication lines, encrypted data servers, and classified documentation. If a fire reaches restricted sections, emergency protocols are activated immediately. In many U.S. diplomatic facilities worldwide, contingency plans exist for rapid document destruction in the event of severe emergencies. These measures are standard protocol and designed to protect national security information. But at this stage, officials had not indicated whether any sensitive areas were affected. Kuwaiti authorities also remained cautious in their public messaging, stating only that emergency services were responding as a precaution. No injuries were immediately reported. Still, the visual impact of smoke rising from an American embassy in a strategically sensitive region triggered intense global attention. Kuwait sits at the crossroads of Middle Eastern geopolitics. It borders Iraq and lies across the Gulf from Iran. It hosts U.S. military presence and serves as a logistics hub for regional operations. Any unusual activity at the embassy carries diplomatic weight. But as the hours passed, the fire appeared to be brought under control, yet the silence from official channels continued, and in the absence of information, theories multiplied.
Context matters.
The Gulf region has faced periods of heightened tension in recent years. Disputes over maritime security, regional proxy conflicts, drone incidents, and cyber operations targeting infrastructure. When smoke appears inside a U.S. embassy compound in such an environment, analysts immediately examine timing. Was there any warning? Any threats? Any unusual intelligence chatter? So far, no group had claimed responsibility for any attack. No explosion had been officially confirmed. No perimeter breach had been reported. Security experts pointed out that embassies are among the most fortified civilian facilities overseas. Perimeter defenses, controlled entry points, surveillance systems, and trained marine security guards are standard features. A direct external attack would likely produce visible damage and immediate alerts. But this incident appeared different. The smoke seemed localized, contained, possibly internal. Some analysts suggested a generator malfunction. Others mentioned electrical transformer fires, not uncommon in large facilities operating under heavy load, especially in hot climates where cooling systems run constantly. Still, without confirmation, uncertainty remained. Financial markets in the region briefly reacted with caution. Diplomatic observers monitored developments closely. Even a small fire, when linked to a powerful symbol like a U.S. embassy, carries symbolic weight far beyond its physical size. And symbols matter in geopolitics. Several hours after the first images surfaced, officials released preliminary information. The statement was brief. It described the incident as a minor fire within the embassy compound, reportedly contained by internal safety systems and local emergency responders. There was no mention of external attack, no reported casualties, no structural compromise to the facility. Officials emphasized that embassy operations continued, though some services may have been temporarily paused as a precaution. Security conditions were described as stable. While details remained limited, the tone suggested reassurance rather than alarm. Still, investigations typically follow any incident involving diplomatic infrastructure. Fire origin assessments, safety audits, and security reviews are standard procedure. Even accidental, such events prompt internal evaluations. For Kuwait, maintaining stability and strong diplomatic ties is a national priority. Cooperation between Kuwaiti emergency services and U.S. security teams appeared coordinated and swift. The rapid containment prevented escalation, both physically and politically. Yet for several tense hours, the image of smoke rising from an American diplomatic compound captured global attention. By evening, the smoke had cleared. Traffic resumed near the compound, media presence decreased, daily life returned to normal. But the event served as a reminder. Diplomatic facilities are more than buildings. They are symbols of state presence, political alliances, and international cooperation. In regions shaped by complex rivalries and shifting alliances, even routine incidents can ignite global speculation. Transparency in such moments becomes crucial. In this case, early indications suggest a controlled internal incident rather than a security breach, but investigations will determine the exact cause. For now, one fact remains clear. A visible plume of smoke over a U.S. embassy, anywhere in the world, instantly commands international attention. Because embassies represent more than offices. They represent nations. And when something happens inside those walls, the world watches.